For today's double indie game review, it is double the deck building, double the cards, and double the bad RNG with Beneath Oresa and Cobalt Core. Beneath Oresa has some of the best aesthetics and I think art style I've seen of a deck builder in some time, going for kind of like the cel-shaded comic book look of, say, a Borderlands. Our story is that, well, beneath Oresa, the city, there is all kinds of evil and trouble brewing, and it's up to the various faction homes to send people in there to deal with these issues before they get out of control. You'll start the game by picking your primary character. Each character belongs to one of the three different factions. The primary character affects kind of special cards that they only have access to, while the faction itself comes with its own unique ability that you can make use of in combat. For the faction you're seeing on the screen right now, they can build up virus charges. Those can be added to their deck, and when they're kind of played or shuffled, they can cause a little bit of damage. But the more virus that you have in your deck during combat will enable you to gain special cards or special abilities during it. Another faction makes use of kind of ammunition, and another one can get like a special counter move. And you'll need to make use of all your abilities, cards, and passives if you want to survive each round of combat. Now, despite the very light action, like posing and movement that you're seeing on screen, this is still a turn-based game. Characters can either be in close or far range, and you'll either punch, shoot, or make your way over to them. You'll need to kind of balance what artifacts and abilities you get access to, and you'll also have access to a companion. Each faction gets specific companions you can choose from, and they simply serve to provide you with unique passives or unique cards if you get their relationship high enough. Now, the card dynamics in this one are very interesting. Not only do you get a wide variety of cards, but they can be upgraded in multiple ways, such as removing a penalty but let's say lowering its effectiveness, or making it more powerful but let's say it may do more to you. Now, all this sounds great and all, but the game definitely suffers in one aspect, and that is the difficulty scale. Much like a game like Slay the Spire, your kind of route through is going to be going through three main chapters, and the scaling of the enemies gets extremely high, going from chapter 1 to chapter 2, and chapter 2 to chapter 3. And it's a case where the cards themselves are just not getting powerful enough, at least on the low to mid end of the scale, to compensate for it. In the first chapter, enemies may do 12, 15, 20 points of damage to you. In chapter 3, they can do about 60 to 80 or more. And when your defensive options, or the basic ones, let's say cap out, I think it's like 12 or 14 per card, there's just no way you're going to be able to defend. And the game definitely rewards kind of very stat tuning or very much all-in strategies where you just want to do as much damage as possible so an enemy who's dead can't exactly follow up and hit you. And enemies do have some really good variety to them. Many will have additional rules based on who gets attacked, what kind of card you hit them with, where they are on the field. But all that just kind of fades away when the enemy can just deal almost half your entire health bar of damage, and especially in a deck builder where you could have a round where you draw nothing but attack cards, or another round where you draw nothing but defensive cards, and even that may not be enough to weather that onslaught of damage. And it kind of falls in this case where the really good builds are damn good, and the ones that are just okay or bad are not going to be able to do enough to get you a win. And there are people who have gotten lucky or have found those amazingly broken strategies, but I wish there was more ways to win beyond just getting really lucky or playing the game only one way. And there are ways to, again, upgrade your cards, thin your deck, gain permanent bonuses and all that. But those specific upgrades and chances are completely up to RNG as well. So there's a lot of things that are just kind of stacked against you, pun intended, if you want to have a successful win in this game. Now, at the time of me recording this review, there has not been, to my knowledge, any major bounce patches or altering perks, buffs and nerfs and all that. So that may change in the future. But at least for right now, I feel like this is a great concept, but it needs, I think, a little bit more adjustment so that everything can shine outside of just the really best stuff. And now we turn from something that is on the harder side to something that's a little bit easier to grasp with Cobalt Core. In this game, our story is that our brave crew here is trapped in a time loop. And in order to get out, they must use the power of friendship, spaceship, and car ship in order to escape. In this one, movement and organizing your different crew members are kind of the name of the game. Besides having the ability to set up blocks and shields, you have cards that can give you evade. This grants you the ability to move your ship in either left or right direction, while other cards may just force you to move in a specific way. This will allow you to avoid enemy attacks, or get into the right position to hit an enemy's weak point, try to disable a cannon, and so on. Your crew members that you see on the left hand side essentially each make up their own specific deck. So one character provides you with multiple forms of shielding or ways of getting defense, another one may focus more on dodging, and someone else may just have a lot of pew-pewing to shoot the enemy down. And you unlock additional characters as you play forward. Each character also comes with specific artifacts that can drop as you play through each one of the nodes and major events. The card design is really well done in this one, and you'll be able to upgrade cards in different ways, such as changing their utility, giving them more power, reducing costs, all that good stuff. And there is certainly a variety of ways of building out your strategy over the length of the run. In the footage that you're seeing, we got an artifact that gives me 1 permanent shield every turn, but if I ever go above, I think it was 6 or 7, I take health damage. So I combine that with a card that removes permanent shield, replaces it with 2 temporary shield, and what ended up happening was I essentially became immortal for most of this run. And the game has a lot of different ways of you building towards that level of overpoweredness. There are also unlocks besides the additional crew members of additional difficulty settings. These will add negative conditions to your ship, make it hard to get certain rewards, and just, again, generally make the game more challenging. And you can also unlock additional ships, and whatever ship you have, this will affect, again, where you're going to be able to actually fire, what parts are going to be vulnerable to damage, and so on and so forth. And I was really enjoying this one. The interesting, I think, nitpick that I have about Cobalt Core compared to Beneath Oresa is where Beneath Oresa may be a little bit on the harder side, this one could very well be a little bit too easy at the start. Again, playing this on normal difficulty, if you have any experience with a deck builder, from the sleighs to the trains to anything else like that, then you should be more than able to kind of break this game very easily. On this very first run that we did on stream, we beat the game. Just 1, 2, 3 over the course of the entire run. Now again, this was on normal difficulty, and if you want to see kind of the quote-unquote true ending, you do need to replay the game multiple times and get some of the major unlocks in order to see it all. So this, I would say, is definitely a great game to kind of introduce someone to deck building. I like the very kind of like cozy vibes the game is giving off. All of our characters are like very friendly, despite the fact that we're trapped in a never-ending time loop and we're blowing people up. So this would be one I would recommend if you're looking for an easier to learn deck builder with some potentially, I guess, spikiness if you really want to pursue it. And with that, we're going to wrap up the review here. Both of these games were played with press keys. I would like to thank developers for letting me check them out. And you let me take a look at your game. in the future. Does not have to involve cards, spaceships, or being beneath anything, then be sure to reach out. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to do the YouTubing stuff people tell you to do. If you're interested in more of my thoughts on design, check out my books wherever they are sold. Visit our Discord and Patreon, and come back for daily discussions on game design here, and on game wisdom, where you examine the art and science of games.